Alright guys, so my hips aren't very flexible, so I looked up on YouTube of hip flexibility moves. So I'm going to try and do them. You can try and follow along, see if you can do them too. I don't know. Let's figure this shit out together. Let's start. It's on YouTube.
In this segment, we're going to look at a series of poses called hip openers. And why hip openers are so important is they do
I don't understand how
a
the fuck
lot
you're
of
sitting
good
like
in
this.
relieving low back pain. So if you're a runner or if you sit at a desk a lot, your hip flexors may have shortened. And that will cause compression on the lumbar spine by tilting the pelvic girdle. So doing a series of hip openers can begin to open that area up and relieve all of that pressure. So I would recommend that if you can fit this into your day at least 3 times a week, you'll see a significant difference in the feeling you have in your low back, a relief of pain and a strengthening as well. So let's go ahead and get started.
Alright.
We want to start in an easy seated pose. I'm in full lotus. That's because my hips are more open. So wherever you're starting from, maybe just right here with crisscross applesauce with your ankles crossed. Also, if you're really tight and your knees are lifted and you want to round back and it's impossible for you to get this pelvic alignment just because of how tight they are, you might want to lift yourself. You can use a folded up blanket, a yoga block, even a pillow at home. So you're simply going to place that right underneath the sits bones right
Not
here.
doing it.
So that now you see that I've got a little bit of an angle and I can roll my pelvis forward, I can take the slope out of my low back, and I've got good alignment. So if that's you, go ahead and go for the pillow or the blanket.
There might be cursing.
Okay, so
Here's your warning.
the first pose we're going to do is butterfly. In butterfly, we're going to draw the soles of our feet together. Now, we draw the heels close to our midline of our body or far away. What we want to look for again is that we can keep a stacked spine. So we've got hips, rib cage, and shoulders. So if you find yourself rolling back at all, either grab the blanket or pillow or lengthen out the legs so that you can sit up nice and tall. So the first thing we're going to do is lengthen the spine. Roll the shoulders back. Now we're going to form a basket with our hands and we're going to lean forward and we're going to just place them over our toes. We're going to use our grip strength to really hold the feet together. We're going to let the knees just open. It's really important in these hip openers that we use the breath in a way that releases tension. So instead of building up energy, on the exhale, we want to send those messages. Remember, we're using our body, mind, and spirit in yoga. So we want to send those neurological messages and just tell those hip openers to release on the exhale. You'd be surprised how much more openness you'll find if you use the breath and the thought in that manner. So we're moving mindfully. Take a deep inhale. And on an exhale, let's draw the elbows forward in front of the shins.
Oh, fuck.
And then let's round the spine, tucking the shin. And we're going to use that grip strength to pull the forehead towards the toes. Again, we want to find a place in this pose. So go ahead and stay in it. But I want you to let the breath be your guide. So you want to hold it very energetically, but continue to breathe.
I'm catching cramping my toe in my foot.
So about 5 breaths. So you're probably about there now.
Sure.
So we're going to inhale and lengthen the spine back up. Let's move into the next pose called knee to ankle. So go ahead and take your right leg, and you're mirroring me. This is my left leg.
Stop me, Till.
And in knee to ankle, what we want to do is we want to set up the bottom leg first. We want to make sure that there's no angle from the ankle to the knee. It's parallel with the front edge of your mat. So make a nice straight line. We're going to stack the other ankle up on top of the knee so that our shins are even. And there's a nice triangle. If you look down here, there's a nice triangle. Now, another modification, if you have extremely tight hips, your knee might be all the way up here, your ankle might be all the way down here, or you can even bring it in front. But we want to keep both feet nice and flexed, which will protect the ankles and keep the integrity of the pose.
Oh, fuck.
So, finding your adjustment where you can still have that triangle, and again, that long spine, will be lifted up. We can go ahead and bring our hands on either side of the hip and use a little bit of pressure to lengthen the spine. Now that may be all the sensation you need.
Yeah.
If you're catching your breath a little bit here or you're feeling a little too much sensation, just back off a little bit and find where you can hold it and still breathe through it. Now, if you have a little bit more open hips, you can go ahead, keep the spine long. Let's walk the hands forward. Just keep walking them forward with a long spine. We're not rounding, we're extending. And then we can just breathe here. Again, it's all about controlling the amount of tension that is productive and not injurious to the body. So find that place where you can breathe nice and long. Again, each of these poses we want to hold for about 5 to 10 breaths. All right, let's come on up. We're going to move into cow face.
Cow face.
And this pose, let's go ahead and move the upper leg out of the way just so that we can align the bottom leg. So we're going to take the knee, we're going to move it over. So instead of adjusting the body to the knee, move the knee as close as you can to the belly button, to the midline of the body. We're going to stack the other knee as best we can
Midline.
on top of that knee. Now again, you might be all the way up here
This is crazy.
and over a little bit, but that's fine. We're working towards both knees stacked on top of each other at the midline of the body. One other important thing to check for alignment is that this heel, sometimes when we bend it back, it ends up under the hip. Now my spine is crooked and my sits bones aren't anchored into the mat. So we move that out and make sure that we feel the evenness of the sits bones really resting in the mat. We extend through the spine again. And now we're going to take a deep inhale. On the exhale, we're going to drape our body over our legs like a piece of fabric, just working from the belly up. On an exhale until the shoulders round and the chin tucks. So we let everything hang. Again, here we're using gravity to do the work. So just release fully into it. The shoulders can move forward. Again, breathing.
My gravity is used to thrusting. I don't know what the fuck this
Release
is.
on every exhale. Feeling the sensation. We're creating tension, but then we have to breathe into it to release it. It's a natural neurological response. Let's come up on an inhale for everything to tighten when it feels that tension. So we have to override it. We have to say it's okay, and then we breathe through it and relax. And we get more flexibility out of each pose. From here, let's move into a seated forward fold.
She's just sitting like this.
So let's take the left leg out to the corner of the mat. Flex the foot and send the back of the leg down towards the carpet and the mat. Let's draw the other leg up along the inner thigh of the extended leg. Again,
trying to kill me.
bringing everything to a place where you can still maintain sitting up on the sits bones and keeping the roundedness out of the low back. From here, we want to go ahead, turn the shoulders towards that foot. So there's a slight rotation. We're going to take our left hand and we're going to place it out here like a little kickstand. And we're going to extend the right hand over, maybe just right here is as far forward as we can safely hinge, or wherever we're at. And then we're going to use this arm pressing against here so that we can draw that right shoulder blade back and down so that we're not all rounded up here. So extend the spine using the opposition of the hand on the shin or ankle in this hand and extend the spine. Notice the difference between a rounded spine, all those little hinges of the vertebrae are bending here, and an extended. We're creating a long line as if there's a yardstick taped from the back of our head down to our tailbone, and we don't want to break it.
No, I don't.
Lengthening out, and you'll feel the opposition of the stretch in the back of the hamstring and the calf, and the lengthening of the spine.
Oh shit! Point your toes up.
Find our breath again. Only creating as much sensation as is available to us, and that'll change over time, and it can change day to day. Let's inhale up. Now let's move into a straddle. So here we're going to widen the legs. Remember, mine are only wider because I've been practicing for a long time. That's why they call it the practice. So yours might be further in. Again, we're looking for that place where we're not rolling back. We can actually rotate up and sit up nice and tall. Flex the feet. The idea with the flexed feet is so important. A lot of times we relax them, but it's as if we're standing. Remember that dynamic tension. We're sending energy out the heels. We're bringing the toes back. Everything is active and alive, even when we're still. So press the backs of the legs towards the mat and bring the toes towards the shin and reach out through the heels.
Yep.
This may be enough right here. You may feel enough sensation right here. But
Good,
then
bro.
You might want to try walking the hand forward again. It's best to do this. We can do it both ways, rounded and extended, but let's start with an extended spine. Just coming out to that place where you can still breathe. You can feel the stretch happening. We're warming up those muscles. We're lengthening them with every pose. Finding our breath. back up.
Let's
Move to figure 4. So drawing the legs together, we're going to go ahead and take the right leg and place the ankle on top of the thigh, not directly on the knee, right there above the knee. Flex feet again on both. So here we've created a figure 4. From here, we're going to draw the foot up, and you can keep the spine long and just support back here. But the idea is that depending on your openness of hips, this may be enough for you. You may be more open, and you can really bring it up, and you can sit up nice and tall. And if you're here or down here, just a gentle press, opening that hip flex. Again, just enough sensation to breathe through it, keeping everything long and extended in the spine, and a gentle pressure on the knee.
No, I don't like it.
5 breaths, and then we come out of it. All right, our last 2 poses. We're going to go into a spinal twist. So let's take
I just don't want to move.
Right leg again. We're going to place it over the left, and we're going to put the whole foot, if possible,
Stretch that spine.
The mat. So we've crossed over and we're sitting up nice and tall. We can leave the front leg extended, and that may be enough for you.
Yeah,
or you can bend it back. But the same thing holds true here. We want to keep it away from the sit bone so we can sit up nice and tall. So moving into a spinal twist, it's really important. Twists are so good for our spine. There's kind of a sponge effect as we wring things out. We tighten it and compress it, and then when we release it, we get a flush of oxygen and fluid throughout the
it's a good stretch.
It's really good for us. We want to sit nice and tall. And we want to hug this front leg close to our body and sit up tall, and then rotate, opening the shoulder, this arm back, and bring the heel of the hand against the back hip so that we're not leaning back. We're sitting up really tall. We're going to inhale, lengthen the spine. On the exhale, we're going to rotate the shoulders. So from the bottom rib up to the shoulders, that's what's rotating. The sits bones are anchored. So we're safely twisting our upper spine. It's important also not to crane the head around or use the head. It just follows the shoulders. All of the work is from the rib cage to the shoulders. We can stretch the eyes back, but we don't want to use the head to bring it around because the neck is a very delicate area and we want to honor that. We find our breath lengthening on the inhale, twisting on the exhale. Again, holding for about 5 breaths. Okay, coming around to the front. And now, I saved the best for last. This is called King Pigeon. So what we want to do is we want to take our right leg, and we want to bring the ankle and the shin and the knee back down to the mat. We're going to shift our weight forward and extend the left leg all the way back, and then lift up and over till our hips are literally hovering over the mat. We may have to continue supported with our hands. So we're just gonna hold here for a little bit, kind of ease into it, remembering that sinking breath, where we're exhaling and releasing into it. And this may be enough for you, just holding here.
Stop fucking
It's a deep pose, and we need to give it some time just to really let those hips open up. Now, if you're okay here, and your breath is even and long, and you can release into it, then let's move a little deeper.
Just sat back on her butt.
Let's remember to not roll over onto the right hip, and to keep the left hip moving towards the mat. Keep some energy reaching down there. So now we're going to gently walk our hands forward, just testing to see if this is enough sensation, stopping along the way as we need to. If more is available to you, we can then come down to the forearms. After that, we're bringing our body weight closer to the floor, which is increasing the pressure. So that's why it's really important to honor your body and make sure that you're at a place where you can still breathe and release into the pose. You'll get more out of it that way. If you like to go deeper,
dude, her leg is like parallel.
Mine
is like 10
and
backwards.
then draw our forehead to our fists.
Oh, but I feel that.
We can come even lower if we like by stacking hands and then bringing our forehead to our hands.
No, I'm not bringing my forehead to shit.
And if you still like more, we can reach the hands all the way forward.
Who wants more?
Really energetically pulling ourselves almost along the carpet and then releasing the forehead to the floor.
Yeah, I'm releasing my forehead in a no pattern. My forehead is in a no.
Just like all the other hip openers, we want to give it time. This one I would give 10 breaths if you can, if you have the time. But at least 5. Come on up, walking the hands, lifting up the body, and then rolling down onto that hip, bringing the back leg around to the front. And here we are, right where we started. So now you can go on and do the other side to make sure that the hips are even and everything is open. Let's take a deep inhale.
Wait.
Arms out to the side.
You want me to do that again? The other side?
All the way.
What?
Bring our hands to prayer above our head. And then we're going to bring it through our head and our heart. Namaste.
Bro. Oh! Now my left side's popping and my right side's not. I need my mommy. Yo, if you want to see me do more fucking of these stupid ass yoga stretches, I'm a real dude. This shit's retarded. Just hit me up and I'll fucking do it. Oh my hip. God.